Kansas City Chiefs went into Denver off the bye week. Andy Reid, at this point in his career, had the third best record off of a bye in his career. He had been nothing short of incredible. I think he was 13-4 off of a bye coming into this game. Denver 8-2, Kansas City 5-4. They still play each other twice, so in theory they are tied. Especially if Kansas City were to win the two games, then Kansas City takes the lead, and they would win the division. Kansas City had all of the things going towards their way. Denver looks terrible on Thursday Night Football the week prior against the Las Vegas Raiders, but Denver does get the mini bye, so they get rested up. Kansas City comes into this game, and they can't get it done. Mahomes is bad. He's outplayed by Bo Nix. Many thought that was impossible. Kansas City couldn't really get what they wanted offensively for a lot of critical moments. There are a ton of field goals in this game, and Denver ends up kicking the game-winning field goal. This time it is not blocked. This time Denver blocks an extra point, which allows them to end up tying the game and then kick the game-winning field goal. And just what a performance from the Denver Broncos, especially offensively. Bo Nix was incredible all day. It is the first time, including this season and last year, where any quarterback has completed multiple 3rd and 10s or longer in the fourth quarter versus Kansas City.
3rd and 10?
3rd and 10 or longer. And Bo Nix did it twice, including a 3rd and 16 in this game. He was absolutely incredible. It's a game that, like, right off the bat, it feels like a playoff game with Jim Nantz, Tony Romo on the call. It feels like it has that kind of heightened impact because it does. First play of the game, Bo Nix drops back to pass. He's sacked immediately in the backfield, and it's 2nd and 16 almost immediately. Denver completes 2 quick passes right back. On a 3rd and 11, Bo Nix finds Cortland Sutton down the field, and Denver turns the first play of the game, a sack, into 3 points. On the ensuing possession for the Kansas City Chiefs, Mahomes is able to find Rice on the first pass, and then a play in your opening series, your opening script that you script up, you have a look that you like. Xavier Worthy is wide open over the top, and once again we see Patrick Mahomes miss a deep ball over the top, and just like that, it goes from it should be 7-0 Kansas City, but it's 3-0 Denver. Denver goes down, kicks another field goal. Kansas City's able to respond. Becomes a field goal fest. But we get into the fourth quarter, and I think the biggest thing about this game is what a credit to Denver for responding with momentum against them. They take the lead early in the fourth quarter with a field goal, 16-13, and then Kansas City does what they've done their entire dynastic run with Mahomes and Kelsey. Legends make legendary plays. Mahomes finds Kelsey. Kelsey scampers into the end zone. Kansas City takes the lead.
I thought it was going to be over at that
exactly.
point. Because I was like, well, Kansas City and Mahomes and Kelsey did it again.
And Denver gets the ball right back, and they go 3 and out. Now you really think it's over. But credit to Denver's defense. They force a 3 and out. And then they get the ball back, go down the field, kick a game-tying field goal. And then, again, Kansas City, for the second possession in a row, has the ball with either the lead or it's tied and a chance to go win the game for sure. 3 and out again for Mahomes and the Chiefs. And then Bo Nix is absolutely phenomenal on his final drive. A 3rd and 15. He completes a 20-yard pass to Sutton. And then a beautiful ball down the field to Troy Franklin on 2nd and 8. A 32-yard pass inside, or he has outside leverage from the corner, throws it to the inside shoulder, puts him in field goal range, and the Denver Broncos defeat the Kansas City Chiefs in kind of a shocker. Sanders, you got thoughts on this one?
Yeah, I have a couple thoughts. The first of them being that I think Patrick Mahomes' glaze might be contagious. It's been a long-running thing with Chris Collinsworth, and then Tony Romo picked it up on Sunday. I was sitting there watching it with Jack. He'd come over to do show prep for a college football review show, and Mahomes throws that pick. They get over. It gets called back for something.
Yeah.
And I look at Jack, and I was like, only these announcers, like, could be immediately start talking about Mahomes and him or something, and then later that drive he throws the interception that doesn't get overturned and makes the tackle, and all that Tony Romo could talk about was how great it was by Mahomes that he got up and went and made that tackle.
Yeah.
And I was like, he just threw a pick. Like, I get like not dogging on him or whatever, like that's fine, but to like be highlighting like congrats, he cleaned up the mistake he made. I thought that was really funny because I literally called it. And in 5 seconds, I was like, he's going to start talking about Mahomes making that tackle. And he started talking about it. And I was like, I saw that one come a mile away. Another really tough, close loss for the Chiefs, which I cannot wait to see how this stat finishes out. But right now, the Chiefs are 0-5 in one-possession games.
Yep.
Last year, they were 12-0. And in the preview show, I said, I'm not going to predict them to go 0-12, but I think they're going to finish closer to 500 because in almost all things in the NFL, regression to average is expected. Offensive line play, right? If you continue to invest in an offensive line that's poor, it's going to regress to average. It's going to get better. And if you have an elite offensive line, you're going to lose guys in free agency because you can't pay them. You're going to regress to average. Almost all things will regress to the mean. And I expected the Kansas City's performance in one-possession games to do so because they won a lot of fluky ones. Blocked field goals, missed field goals, late things that just were unexpected and unpredictable went in favor of the Kansas City Chiefs last season, which led to them winning all those one-possession games. Now they're 0-5. And maybe they've lost a couple fluky ones, but it's been tough. It's been a tough road for the Kansas City Chiefs. Now they're 5-5. And in their division, they've lost to the Chargers. The Broncos, are they 1-2 in their division right now?
1-2, yes.
Because they beat the Raiders, but who hasn't beat the Raiders?
Yeah.
But
still have to play all three teams.
Yeah, the forecast playoffs. I was low on the Kansas City Chiefs coming into the season. I predicted the Broncos to win the AFC West, but I'm still scared of the Kansas City Chiefs. I'm not gonna lie because I think they're the kind of team, kind of like the Cincinnati Bengals last year. In this manner, they're a team that you would be very scared of. The Kansas City Chiefs were scared of the Bengals last year. Because this is a wild situation because they let the Broncos win week 17 or week 18 so that they get in the playoffs and the Bengals wouldn't let them win. They played their backups. But I think that the Chiefs with Patrick Mahomes, like nobody wants to play Patrick Mahomes in the playoffs. And so it's still, right now the standings are the Chiefs 9th, is that right?
They're 8th.
8th in the AFC, so they are just in the outside looking in. But with 3 games left to go against your division.
They are 9th, actually. Technically losing a tiebreaker to Houston.
Yes. Did they? But they do play, and they haven't played yet, right?
Correct.
So you'll have that opportunity to beat Houston. The Chargers are a wild card team right now. You still have the opportunity to play them again at home. The Broncos are, I guess, 4? I'm not going to talk about the Chiefs winning the division because that would take an implosion by the Broncos down the stretch. But you still have the chance to play the Chargers again. That'll be in Kansas City. You had the chance to play the Houston Texans. It's really unfortunate that right now you've already lost tiebreakers to the Bills and Jaguars. So you're kind of looking at, can we get the 7 seed?
Yeah. They need to go undefeated to guarantee. If they go 6-1, they are pretty much in, assuming Jacksonville doesn't go 6-1 themselves.
No, then they'd be tied at 11-6, right?
Or assuming Jacksonville doesn't go 4-2 themselves, then they would have the same amount of losses, but Jacksonville would have the tiebreaker with the head-to-head. They need to go 5-1. They need Jacksonville to kind of implode down the stretch, which is possible, but to go 6-1 is kind of a long shot because you just went 5-5.
Yeah.
And it's not like you don't have games left on your schedule that are not losable. You play the Colts off of a bye this Sunday. You will then play Dallas on Thanksgiving. You have to play that Houston Texans defense who could give you trouble at home on Sunday Night Football. You still have to play the Chargers again, and then you have to host the Broncos still on Christmas Day. It's a 55% chance, according to Vegas and other playoff predictors. That's about where it's at. I think that's a pretty accurate. It's a coin flip, really, if they're going to make the postseason or not. On the Denver side and the one score game thing, they're 7-2.
Yeah.
And so they are a team that maybe they could see a flip at the end of the season. They have 2 blowout wins, but other than that, they're 7-2 and they're 9-2 total. So that's 9 of their 11 games. And in this one, it really could have flipped very easily. R.J. Harvey tries to throw the ball back to Bo Nix at one point in this game. That should have been a pick 6, but Kansas City couldn't convert. They kind of get a few breaks here and there, especially with Mahomes throwing another red zone interception where he just throws it directly to the defensive back, which isn't necessarily a great play by the DB as much as it is just a terrible throw by Mahomes. I have to give them credit for forcing field goals, of course, from Kansas City and not allowing them to score touchdowns, but I wouldn't say that the book is quite written on Denver. One thing you can say about them right now is they're really, really good in the fourth quarter. They win the fourth quarter more times than not, and if you do that in games, especially games that are going to be close with a defense as good as it is, they're a team that is a force to be reckoned with going down the stretch. We'll see how they kind of respond once they get to the postseason because they got that one chance last year, and they were blown out by Buffalo. And I don't think anything's guaranteed for Denver. But it's a really, really impressive win. All that pressure goes to Kansas City. Like I said, they need to go 6-1 in all reality if they want to sneak in at the 7 or the 6 seed. But they're 5-5 at this point, and so nothing is guaranteed for Kansas City going forward. They're 1-4 on the road this season, so that is kind of a helper. They play at home a ton. They play the Colts, Texans, Chargers, and Broncos at home still, and their 3 road games are Titans, Raiders, and then the Dallas Cowboys on Thanksgiving Day. For Kansas City, man, this is, like I've said much of the year, this is not a great football team. It's a good football team, and they're far from elite. They make too many mistakes. Mahomes turns the ball over in critical moments. Another red zone interception. This time it doesn't go for a pick 6. He should have thrown a pick 6, but it got called back to a kind of a weak illegal contact penalty in this game on Hollywood Brown. Kansas City, man. I hope they miss the playoffs, of course.
Yeah.
But you hope they don't get in. Because if they get in, that means they won out of their last 7 games, 6. That means they're hot. That means they're red hot offensively, more than likely. They have beaten some good playoff teams. And then the Patriots, Colts, Broncos, and whoever wins the other division as well. In the between the Steelers and Ravens, you have to kind of fear that Kansas City and Mahomes coming to your house in that round 1 is really, really scary. So it's not done for the Kansas City Chiefs, but it is getting close, and the air is getting thin in that November air.
Yeah. I mean, if that does play out and they've beat the Colts, maybe they won at the Cowboys, they beat the Broncos this time in Kansas City. Like, if you're one of those elite teams, the Colts or the Patriots, like, how are you sitting there thinking, yeah, but they're not going to beat us? Like, there's 100% a chance they could beat us. I have one more question about the Broncos before we move on, because last week we talked about this being a chance to prove themselves not fraudulent. That was the title of the video, and a angry Broncos fan commented, "You're the fraud." And then I was like, the Broncos were 1-2 against playoff teams going into this weekend.
That's still the same.
That is true. I would, because of the...
No, they're still 1-2.
I know they are still 1-2.
That's
but
the way it has to be swung. Kansas City's not a playoff team.
Kansas City's not a playoff team, but I think beating the Chiefs counts for more. This is the most SEC fan thing I'm about to say. I think beating Kansas City matters more than beating other 5-5 teams because it's Patrick Mahomes, and until this season, he doesn't lose. He's losing more this season than normal, but I still think Patrick Mahomes is Patrick Mahomes. And so now you look at the Broncos. 7 of their 8 wins prior to Sunday, 7 of their 8 wins came against teams who are combined 19-51. They needed miraculous comebacks to beat the Giants and Eagles. And so my question to you is, yes, the Chiefs are not a playoff team currently, but do you still think, would you have viewed the Broncos as fraudulent? Because I don't remember your answer on Thursday. And do you view them as fraudulent right now?
I thought they were on fraud watch just because of the way the games had gone. And there was no reason to not feel that after the last time we had seen them was Thursday Night Football against the Raiders, and they were atrocious.
Yeah.
They were kind of being carried by their defense. They weren't performing offensively to the degree that they should be. And they came into this game playing against a really, really good Chiefs team, and they got it done. I still think it's so easy to have the take of, okay, they're still on fraud watch, and when they lose in the postseason, which is going to more than likely happen than not.
Happens to 13 teams.
You will say, oh, we were right. They are frauds. I don't think that's the case. I think that's too harsh. Unless they really, really show a stinker in the postseason, especially offensively, once again, like they did last year against the Buffalo Bills. But I think they have really alleviated themselves from that. They're 9-2. Of the teams that are 9-2 with the Patriots and the Colts, I view them very, very similar. And my power rankings suggest that as well. So I don't think they're frauds anymore. I think they're one of the better teams in the NFL. They just play in a way that you would say they are fraudulent because they are so heavily reliant on one side of the ball.
Yeah. I'll say Jack texted us specifically and said, I want people to know I still think the Broncos are fraudulent. So I'll put that out there, that the co-host who normally sits in this seat, Jack, still thinks the Broncos are fraudulent. I don't. I had this thought after Sunday's game of the Broncos are 9-2 right now, and they might be like a half as good as they are going to be in a couple weeks, or even 2/3.
Oh yeah.
Because imagine the way that defense is playing right now, carrying them to wins. I would argue in this game, just with the interception, it never felt like Kansas City was going to be able to score enough points. And shout out the offense for showing up and scoring 22. The offense has looked not great at times this season, but imagine if the offense can figure it out. And Bo Nix goes back to where he was in the last half of last season. The performances he was putting up that had me high on the Broncos, had a lot of people high on the Broncos. Down the stretch last season, he looked really good. And imagine if they can take those fourth quarter performances that we've seen this year, or take the second half of last year and turn that into quarter after quarter, game after game performances, and you pair that with the defense, and this could be a really, really scary football team. You could go from being you're one of the best to you are the best without a doubt.
I think one of the most critical things for them is going to be securing that one seed, and by winning a bunch of games down the stretch and having the better record than the Patriots and Colts, because this year they are not necessarily a great road team. They're 2-2 on the road with losses to the Colts and Chargers, and then their other two road games are a huge fourth quarter comeback against the Eagles, and they survived against Davis Mills and the Texans. They have not been great on the road so far this season. They got two road games coming up after the bye with the Commanders and Raiders, and that can kind of technically flip that stat. But I really want to see how they play at Kansas City on Christmas Day and how they play in the postseason. They have to, if they have home field advantage the whole way through, like they have the divisional round and the AFC Championship as the number one overall seed, and also getting to be the number one overall seed, getting the bye and avoiding to have to play Mahomes in the first round, maybe Josh Allen in the first round, Justin Herbert in the first round. If they can do that, I think they can easily win 2 playoff games and be in the Super Bowl. But if they're not the one seed, I don't see them winning 3 games, including one on the road, and making the Super Bowl.